Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kiwi College. I'm Sarah Smith, the editorial director of Kiwi, and I'm very excited about today's webinar. With us is Paige Wolf. She's the author of Spit That Out, the Overly Informed Parent's Guide to Raising Children in the Age of Environmental Guilt, which is a great book and couldn't be more Kiwi. She's going to tell us a little bit about her book and experiences, but then what we're going to do today is have a discussion with all of you about living greener with our families. So if you've been to Kiwi College webinars before, you know that you can type in your questions at any time. And usually then I ask the questions to our speakers. But today, we're going to give you all the opportunity to chime in live, to ask Paige a question, ask your fellow audience members a question, or offer a suggestion of your own. And see, that'll work if you are calling in on your phone or if you have a microphone in your computer. If you don't, then I will just read your question for you. So you should send your questions in either way, whether you want to talk live or just have me read it, just so that I know what you want to talk about and we can keep things moving. So it'll be fun to hear from all of you and to hear your questions and your advice. So I am very excited, again, like I said, to have Paige here. So Paige, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book and where you're coming from here, and then we'll open it up for talking.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, and I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your day to join this conversation. I wrote this book because, like most of us who are moms and Kiwi readers and care about living greener and creating a healthier environment for ourselves and our children, we are living in a world that is super confusing and a little bit overwhelming, or maybe a lot overwhelming. We're getting new news reports all the time about what might be dangerous for our children. We buy something one day and the next day it's recalled. We want to buy organic and things are expensive. So I wanted to try to wade through some of those pressing issues and questions and get some expert advice and actually, most importantly, some advice from fellow moms on how they make it a little bit easier. So I'm here today to touch on some of those key sort of eco-anxiety triggers, give a few quick tips that I've learned, and find out what kind of tips you have so we can all sort of help each other to wade through this crazy new world. I wanted to start with the first eco-anxiety trigger, and that is food. We all want to eat healthy and feed our children healthier, and we want to feed them organic foods. We know about pesticides and hormones and antibiotics, and we want to avoid it, but it can be hard to shop for the things that we're looking for. It can be hard to afford it. So here are a few quick tips. Some you might know, some might be new to you, on ways that I'm trying to make it a little bit easier. I'm sure a lot of you probably have heard of the Dirty Dozen. That's the Environmental Working Group's list of the top 12 vegetables and fruits that you want to buy organic if you can, because they sort of have the most pesticides and things. And the latest list from EWG just came out a couple of days ago. You can download it at ewg.com if you have an iPhone. You can download an app, so you've got your list right there, easy to remember. The things that top the list of the Dirty Dozen are things like apples and celery and strawberries. It's a lot of tree fruits and leafy greens. There's also the Clean 15, and these are the 15 fruits and vegetables with the least pesticides. And these are things like avocados and kiwis and pineapples. One trick that I do if you sort of can't remember what's on the list, things that tend to be a little bit more okay to buy conventional on that Clean 15 list are things that have a thick skin or a rind that you're going to remove, because a lot of the nasty stuff kind of lives there. So that's why you'll see things like melons a lot of times on the Clean 15. So that's a quick trick that I try to remember. Of course, it's great to stock up on that seasonal produce that your family loves, and while it's at the best prices, and freeze it in portions. Especially great if you've got a baby for freezing things like sweet potatoes in season, mashing it up. I'm sure a lot of you guys do that already. Some of you might be vegans and vegetarians. I myself do eat meat, but it's very important to me that the meat I buy is sustainably raised and cruelty-free. But I find that buying less meat will help you save on calories, costs, and carbon footprint. A lot of you might be practicing Meatless Monday. That's a great trend right now, and there's a lot of great recipes online and, of course, in the pages of Kiwi Magazine. I don't know if any of you are watching the show Extreme Couponing. I am obsessed with it, but I've noticed that these women who are extreme couponers will go out and stock up on just about anything, whether it's healthy or not, because it's so much harder to find the coupons for the great organic brands, but it's definitely getting easier. Whole Foods, of course, has got their online coupons and coupon book, and then I love websites like yourgreenhelper.com and organicdeals.com. I bookmark them, I get the feed, and I find coupons for brands like, Kashi and Stonyfield Farms and brands like that that are organic and I want to support and I want to buy. Well, I can get deals on that stuff. So I consider myself an extreme organic couponer. Another great tip, sign up for recyclebank.com. Even if you can't get recycling points where you are, you can still get other promotional points, and those add up for coupons. I always collect my points to get a coupon for a free Happy Baby product, so I get all my puffs and frozen meals for absolutely free. And remember, it's the patterns that count, and one rogue slice of sugary birthday cake won't undo a healthy lifestyle. I had to tell myself that yesterday when we were at Sesame Place, and the only thing my son wanted to eat was French fries. So on to the next eco-anxiety trigger, and we'll come back to this and see if you guys have any questions or comments. Okay, so the next thing is plastics. From toys to Tupperware, why are plastics suddenly so scary, right? I mean, they talked about plastic making life easier through science, and now it feels like plastics are dangerous and questionable, and we don't know what to do. So with all the scary new studies coming out, you guys are already probably trying to limit your plastics. The kitchen's a great place to start. I find that glass Pyrex is the new Tupperware. I've been using a lot of that. And there's all kinds of great new products out there for storage that are completely plastic-free. For bottles and feeding utensils, BPA-free is good. And I myself am still trying to find the perfect sippy cup, but glass or stainless steel is even better. I've been trying the silicone-coated glass sippy cups, the clean canteen aluminum. I'm trying to find the best fit for my toddler, but in a pinch, I do use the BPA-free munchkin. So it's finding what works for your family. But definitely don't put heated food in plastic. Don't heat plastic, period. Keep it out of the microwave. And when you're shopping for plastics or you find plastics, you try to remember that the numbers that are probably the least dangerous are the ones that are easiest to recycle in your community, and that's 1, 2, 4, and 5. And you want to avoid 3, 6, and 7. That list, check the Environmental Working Group's website for their information on more on those plastics. Tricky one is 7. 7 really just means other. So some 7s are okay, like things that are now made, plastics that are made from corn or sugar. But 7 is also the number for the clear, hard plastic that often contains BPA. So when you see that clear, hard plastic that's the number 7, that's one you probably want to try to avoid. And most importantly, try not to worry about what's already done. Being a little bit more careful with what you use can dramatically lower levels of certain chemicals in your body, sometimes within a matter of hours. Some of the experts I spoke to told me that our bodies can actually flush out things like phthalates and BPA, so you can kind of get a detoxifying effect similar to quitting smoking. So it's just about moving forward and doing what we can. And the last big eco-anxiety trigger I want to talk about today is waste. So as a Kiwi reader, you probably are already reducing and reusing and recycling. So of course, the easiest way to go green and save money is reducing electricity and paper towels, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing that. Reuse is one of my favorite things, getting crafty. Kids will play with anything, and check out these websites like Recycle This, which is an awesome UK website that you can search, how can I recycle paper towels, how can I recycle Q-tips, and they'll give you awesome ideas. And of course, the pages of Kiwi Magazine always have some great creative ideas. Recycle. the community recycling programs are improving all the time. I'm really fortunate to have single-stream recycling here in Philadelphia. But if you're ever wondering where you can recycle something, where you can send your computer, where you can send your old clothing, check earth911.com, and it'll tell you where in your area you can recycle locally and most easily. I don't know, I bet some of you guys have tried composting. I have found that composting is a lot easier than I ever imagined it would be. And I think that composting has gone chic. Worm bins have invaded the West Side. But if you can't deal with the worms, visit composting101.com to get started. I have a really simple bin in my kitchen and a very simple composting bin in my very small city backyard. When it gets full, we just post it on FreeCycle or Craigslist, and we get someone to come haul it out for us because we don't have big enough space to really garden ourselves. Speaking of Craigslist and FreeCycle and eBay, it's a cinch to turn your trash into treasure. When you're clearing out your clutter, there's really no need to throw anything away because the people will come and take the craziest things that they're using for their crafts or their construction. And of course, I love to use these to buy things. I like to buy lots of used kids' clothes on eBay. I love to go and find that new toy for less money and less landfill waste. So if you guys aren't already using these resources, I highly recommend them. Another great tip is planning. Whether it's weekly meals or birthday gifts, knowing exactly what you need and when you need it will help you save on wasted groceries and overpriced impulse purchases. So be an extreme couponer, collect those organic coupons from Whole Foods and from online, and plan your weekly shops. And finally, choose quality over quantity. Buy products that are built to last. One good little black dress or sneakers for the kids goes a lot further than a dozen cheaply made, ill-fitting ones. So I would rather spend a little bit more money on a good quality product and support those sustainable companies that are trying to do good and create, make their sustainable products more affordable. Well, we need to support them. So try to spend our green dollars wisely with these great companies making great products. So that is all I have to say for today so far. I put some questions up here to get you guys thinking. You can see them up on your screen. So I'd love to hear your answers to some of these questions, and I'd love to hear any questions that you have about making greener living more simple, more manageable, and more affordable.
Oh, thanks, Paige. That was really great points to get us all thinking. So everybody who's out there and listening in, please, send in your questions, by typing them in, and then if you'd like to actually speak, live, so that everyone can hear you and not just have me ask your question. Indicate that in your question. Just write live, and then I'll call on you by unmuting you, and I'll say your name, and then you can ask Paige your question. So so we'd love to hear what you think about these questions here, and go from there. So I'm really looking forward to hearing people's tips and ideas and thoughts on the things that we've talked about already. I have some questions coming in that I'm gonna ask here. And is it realistic, Paige, do you think, for us to think that, is it realistic, it's possible that we're ever going to not be so reliant on plastics? I mean, when you've talked to other moms and when you've talked to experts and stuff for your book, do you think that's going to happen, or what's your philosophy sort of on that?
Personally, I don't think we're ever going to stop being entirely reliant on plastic, and there's certainly some good plastics out there that have, plastic incubators have saved the lives of newborns. So it's not that plastics are bad. It's just the manufacturers being conscious of the way that the plastics are made. The problem is that there's something like 80,000 chemicals being used today in modern manufacturing, and only a very small percentage of them have been tested. So what happens now is that people are acting reactively, finding out that a chemical we've been using all along might be a problem, rather than having done the proper testing before it was released to market. So here's where we have the problem. But there are people who are really working to reduce plastic. So it's not about eliminating, it's about minimizing when you can. And if you're going to use plastic, being a little bit conscious of which plastics you're using. The numbers make that a little bit easier. There's a great blogger, Plastic Free Beth, I think is her blog, and she's really trying to live a life minimizing plastics as much as possible. She's an interesting person to follow. She always has some really interesting ideas and tips on eliminating plastic. But, you know, I don't think it's possible, and I don't think in our lifetimes we're going to see less of plastics. I think we're going to see more, but we're also going to see more alternatives.
Great, great. Okay, interesting. And it's, you know, if we're like you said earlier, you know, we do our best to limit use when we can, then, you know, that's such a great thing to just do what you can, and then you think about all that you're eliminating just on your own, even though it's still out there. You know, do what you can for your family. So let's see. We have a question from somebody, a comment, an idea from somebody, and I'm not sure if she's on a computer where we can hear her. But Emily Walker, I'm gonna unmute you, and if you're able to share your idea here with everybody, please do. And if it doesn't work, I'll just share it with everyone myself. So Emily, hold on one second. Emily, are you there?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Emily. Tell us what you typed into me about going through your kitchen.
Well, for me, it had to be all or nothing. As soon as I kept the plastics in my kitchen, I used them. So one night, in just an act of inspiration, I went to the kitchen and just literally took out all the plastic. That allowed us to be down to occasionally 4 plates, 4 cups, 1 container to store in, which was a little tough. But
yeah, that's great. So you ended up with a lot fewer things than you had before.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
What are some of the products that you found were good replacements from traditional plastic?
I found great deals at yard sales on old-timey mason jars, lots of glass jars.
That's great. So yard sales, and that sounds like you probably got some good deals at the yard sales too.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question. Are there any concerns of buying the old glass and lead?
That is a good question. I believe that, you know, the stuff that you're going to buy that's new now, mostly especially from the companies that are really promoting sustainability, that are selling glass products like glass sippy cups and things like that, I'm pretty sure that they're highly conscious of that. But when you're buying used, older things, that might be something of concern. I'd have to do a little bit more research on that.
If anybody else out there has suggestions on that, please, you know, type in, let us know. We'll catch you on the air here with Paige and me from Kiwi. So thanks so much, Emily. Thanks so much for your tips. Okay, great. I'm going to ask you another couple questions that are coming in. What about all those baby products that are plastic? Do you have them in your house? Did you have them in your house, Paige? I mean, what are you finding? Are people trying to avoid them?
Yeah, you know what?
Toys,
you're not going to find a wooden extra saucer.
Right.
And I think that I want my child to, you know, enjoy educational and developmental toys, and sometimes you can't avoid plastic. My compromise is that for those sort of larger toys that are inevitably going to be plastic, the big toy houses or the little, you know, go-karts, I get those used. I get them at flea markets or yard sales or Craigslist, so at least they're coming secondhand. And if it's something larger without small pieces that he was going to be chewing on, then I felt more okay about it. Like we got the extra saucer, and if there was anything small with the questionable plastic that I thought he might be gnawing on when he was really going through that chewing phase, I would take it off. But I felt like there couldn't be any harm in him bouncing up and down in a used extra saucer. So we have a good amount of plastic toys in our home. We try to support and buy, you know, wooden toys and more simple things when we can. But we go out and buy, you know, some things with the bells and whistles when we're out at the flea markets, and figure at least we're keeping them out of the landfills.
That's a really good way to think about it. You know, that okay, so there's going to be some plastic toys, but if they're not going to be putting it in their mouths, maybe that's where you draw the line if you've got to. That's really
right, because it comes down to, it really, you know, for me it comes down to safety. That's the most important thing. So if he's not going to be chewing on it, I feel more okay with it.
Right. We have someone in the audience who has a suggestion about testing for lead. So, Joanne, I'm going to try to get you on the air here to give that suggestion. And again, if it doesn't work, I will give it for you. So, Joanne, are you there? Oh, I think maybe Joanne doesn't have a microphone on her computer since I'm not hearing her. So, but thank you, Joanne, for sending your tip. What she had to say was that you can purchase lead tests for, for bowls and things that you might think suspect have lead if they're made in China or that kind of thing. So, Joanne, if you want to type in if you know where you can get those, let us know, and I'll share that with everybody. Or if someone else has a thought on that, that can certainly give you some peace of mind for things that you're buying and aren't sure of.
Right. There's an epilogue in my book where after I finished the writing and editing process, I realized that some parts in my old house might have contained lead paint, and I had a complete and total panic attack and couldn't believe that I, the person who wrote this book on green child safety, hadn't thought about these entryways that might have had lead in my old house. And, my son they do automatic lead testing at, I think, 15 months or something, and he was fine, and I had the areas tested and fixed and everything. But it's sometimes things are where you least expect it, and you, as conscious as we all are as Kiwi reading moms, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I never thought of that, and that's where the guilt comes in. And I was telling Sarah earlier, it's funny, the seminar is called No Guilt, or No Green Guilt. I'm like, well, there's never no green guilt, there's less. I mean, even after writing this book, I blog all the time because there's new information coming out and new things that I'm worried about and new things that I see, and I want to put it out there and talk to people about it. And I think that for me, the most important thing through writing this book is the commiseration and the advice from other moms, and knowing that we're sort of going through this together and we can help each other. And it's hard because I'm sure that we all have friends and family who really don't take these things into consideration. One of the questions I wrote here is, how do you deal with friends and family who don't support your green choices? And I think this is one of the things that I struggle with the most. My son goes to a preschool where he's getting non-organic strawberries that are the top of the Dirty Dozen list every day, and he's getting, and they're playing with all kinds of plastic toys. And I feel like I don't want to be the mom that comes in and complains all the time because I think that I've annoyed them enough. So, I make sure that what I do at home is the best I can, but I know I sort of need to let go a little bit if he's at a friend's house or he's in a play group. But what do you do if your child has a grandparent who's adamant about giving them sugar cookies every time they see them? And, what do you do if your son's best friend has a house that looks like an absolute toxic hazard? And how do you deal without alienating yourself? I have some good advice on this in my book, but it's something that I continue to struggle with, and I would love to know about your experiences and any advice that you ladies might be able to offer.
Great. We'd love to hear from anyone who's got tips on that. Well, we did just get a question in from someone that page wanted to know what you suggest. What is something that you've said or a piece of advice that's from your book to get us started?
Well, one thing that one of the experts in my book recommended when you're dealing with family is to try to say something that they can't argue with, which is your feelings. You're not going to necessarily win if you get into a battle about why it's bad for the environment and why it wasn't, people will tend to say, well, you grew up with it and you were fine. And rather than try to get into a whole explanation of why it's not fine, just saying, I feel, please do this, for me, please respect my wishes, this is how I feel. Something they can't argue with your feelings and your wishes, but, there's people who are going to argue with you about global warming. Right. So one thing is just try to say something they can't argue with, which is your wishes and how you feel. But there's a lot of other things. I try to choose my battles as best as I can, and that's not always the easiest. And I think about minimizing. If my son's going to go play at somebody's house once every couple of weeks that I don't think it's the greatest environment, okay, maybe I can bite my tongue a little bit if I don't see like real major safety hazards. But the big question is, what do we do with the preschools in my areas? They tout being green and being green-minded, but I see a lot of stuff that isn't, and I want to make recommendations. I try to make subtle recommendations without being without getting him hated and kicked out of school.
Right.
So it's really, really tough.
Yeah, and I know sometimes with when it's an issue with grandparents that they might feel criticized that that you're criticizing the way you were brought up. That if you're saying I want my kids to eat this kind of food or to not play with this kind of toy, and I think that's what you ate, that's what you played with. What are you saying about how I raised you? So
right.
If you're sensing that, I don't know, is it a good idea to say something like, the way you raised me was great, and then but things have changed in the world now, and so it has nothing to do with how you raised me. I just want to do this differently.
Perfect. That's exactly what you should say, that you raised as best you can for the time, and that was what, and they had it a lot easier, I think. They didn't have to worry about these things. They got to worry about the regular worries about, are they going to choke on a lollipop, and are they going to trip in the street? And we have to worry about so much more. So it's really, really tough, and it's really good when they can be supportive and not question why you want them to buy organic milk. Things were done differently. Farming was done differently. There were far less chemicals in use. There was, it's funny, I went back, and a friend of mine who's my age, and we went and to their parents' house, and they still had all the toys that we played with growing up. And all those old play school things and Weebles and things, and it was interesting. They all said things like made in Idaho, and a lot of them were wooden. And we didn't realize that the difference in the past 30 years has been so dramatic. The difference in where things are made and how things are made, and now everything is made in China, and it's just it's really profound, the difference, and that's what the older generation sort of needs to understand. It's just a different world.
Right, right. We have a question/comment from someone named Linnell. And Linnell, I'm going to try to unmute you to see if you can weigh in, and if you're able to, great. And if not, again, I'll read this out. So, Linnell, are you there? Unfortunately, I think we have a number of people who don't have mics, and that's very common. I actually don't have one on my computer, and I'm calling in on my telephone. So, so when we can, we'll get people's voices in. But but when we don't, let me just share what Linnell had to say. That her family had to start cutting costs because there wasn't any income for a few months, but decided to continue feeding the baby completely organic formula and Earth's Best food. So it sounds like that was the choice that they made to stay organic on that, and that's great. Congratulations to you guys for doing that. But it was hard. She said it was a big heartbreak that they had to discontinue using 7th generation diapers and go with a Walmart brand, which I'm guessing was much was a cheaper option. And so it's tough. You're weighing these different options. What are you gonna choose? And it sounds like their family chose the organic food, and that's great. And so anyway, Lynn, I was wondering if there's been any studies on non-chlorine-free diapers and the chemicals in diapers. And also, Paige, if you can tell us a little bit more about the sippy cups that I know you're sort of struggling with that. What you're doing on that.
I am so glad that you asked the diaper question. Okay, so in my book, I talk about how I started out using 7th generation disposable diapers myself. And I talked to some moms who used cloth, and some moms who used disposable, and some moms who thought they were really green but were still using Pampers, and we sort of explored it and talked about, what's better and the differences and things like that. So after the book came out, I actually got a few emails from people who were big on promoting cloth diapering and how much better it is for the environment, and they were angry with me for not having been a stronger advocate for cloth diapering. And I thought, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't say that I can't do it until I've tried it. So I'm actually now using cloth. And the way that I was able to make that work for me is through a diaper service. I think that if I would have had to wash and dry all of these cloth diapers, it's not something that I personally would have been able to handle. But I found that using the diaper service for the cloth diapers has been so easy. I wish I would have tried it sooner. And it's, undoubtedly better for the environment. This woman takes them home and washes and line dries them with natural detergents. She delivers them to my door. And you know what? If I would have done this from the very beginning, I would have saved thousands of dollars. So it's never too late to start that. My son's 21 months, and we've just started, and we figure, he's a boy who knows when he'll be potty trained. We've got a long way to go, and we'll know better for if we have future children.
That's a great point. Do it, don't feel like, time's up. You can still try things.
Yeah,
and in fact, we have a listener who is a fan of cloth diapers, and we're going to try and unmuting her. We're not sure if it'll work, but let's try hearing what Callie has to say. Callie, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. So thanks, Callie. You said that you think cloth diapers are easier than people think. Can you tell us more about it? Do you use them?
Yeah, we've been using them for 2.5 years now, and lots of skepticism from my parents and from my spouse especially. And seriously, my biggest supporter now is my husband. He never in a million years thought it would be this easy.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And the support online is where you find it.
Oh, that's good. So you feel that, even though you have some difficulties with relatives, you find people online who are supporting you?
Yeah.
Great.
Do you wash and dry yourself, or do you use a service?
No, we do everything here at the house.
And you still find it really easy and manageable?
Yeah. No, it takes 2 to 3 loads a week. And it takes a couple hours because you have to wash them twice, basically, to get everything out.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's really simple. It just becomes part of the routine. And actually, we're going through potty training right now, and I want to tell you guys, I'm going through more laundry than I do diapers.
I have to say the thing that changed my husband's mind on cloth diapers, because he was really skeptical,
it's
when
money.
you use the money is huge. It's a huge money saver, especially if you're washing and drying yourself. But even with the diaper service, if I would have started from the beginning, I would have saved thousands. But what really is amazing that no one really talks about is the fact that you no longer have to take out the diaper genie because the room smells. The room doesn't smell anymore.
There's no diaper genie. There's no midnight running to the store to make sure you have diapers. You're never running out of diapers.
It is so much easier to clean off that diaper, even, and he's at the harder stage. I think it would have been easier to start when they're newborns.
Yeah.
And now, they're eating solids, so it's different. But get it, kind of shaking that off into the toilet and putting it in the bin, the room doesn't smell ever anymore. And it is such, twice a day, I was telling my husband, you got to take the bin out, you got to take the bin out. So
yeah,
we're saving all that
diaper
plastic.
genie. Who wants the poop staying in your house for a week before you change the diaper genie?
Yeah, it is. I'm just blown away by the difference, and I only wish I would have tried it sooner. So, I've just been blogging about it, and if my book ever gets a second edition, it will be Go Cloth Diapers all the way.
Well, there's lots of resources out there. I actually blog about cloth diapers quite a bit on theecochick.com.
Oh, great.
There's another friend of mine who does video reviews of all the different brands.
Oh, that sounds helpful.
DirtyDiaperLaundry.com. It's an amazing resource if there's parents out there who just want to physically see it, but they don't have a diaper store where they can go and touch the product. So great resources.
Awesome, thank you.
Great, thanks so much for the tips, Callie.
Oh, thank you for letting me join.
Great. Paige, we have a couple of questions coming in from people about food and organic, buying organic food. So we're going to try checking in with Erica Stein. So Erica, let's try see if are you there, Erica?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. So
Hi.
I see in a message that you've got some kids there with you, so that's great.
Yeah.
We welcome them. So can you, I see you sent us a couple questions that were food related. Can you share those with Paige and with the rest of the audience?
One is I'm trying to, freeze stuff ahead of time, and the go-to stuff on that is all disposable, and I prefer not to do that. And, when I make batches of pancakes, I end up with plastic bags, but I try to reuse them, but I still feel guilty that I'm, using them. So do you have any suggestions as to what we can use to...
Oh, yeah, there's great reusable products available for stuff like that. There's the ones that are like the little, they were like the little ice cube trays almost. And I don't know the brands offhand, but there's some great sites to shop where you can know that they've done sort of the Green Mom research for you. MightyNest.com, Rosie Hippo, Eco Mom. Sarah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, those are great. Actually, I was going to, say Rosie Hippo.
Yeah, these
and
are
Eco Mom
places
are
where
great.
I can find like casseroles that I can freeze.
I'm sorry?
These are places where I can find like a casserole that I can I like freeze a casserole? I know that I have all the stuff for baby food because I did that with my daughter, but
I put my Pyrex in the freezer.
Yeah, so if you're using glass, that'll freeze.
Yeah, glass. You can use a glass Pyrex and stuff like that. I use them in the freezer, and I freeze sauces and things like that.
Yeah, I just like to have use of them is my concern.
Oh, right, of course. That's a great question. You should definitely look around those sites, and I will too. And we can recommend some things on Kiwi's blog and in the magazine too when we find some. Because you don't want to be without your if you don't have, you're not overflowing with the cookware. Yeah, you don't want to be without it. So that's a good point.
And there's links on my website to a lot of these stores. And another great tip that I love, because I'm big on trying, the parts of going green will save you a lot of money, but parts of going green are expensive. I find that it basically evens out. Like, the money I'm saving on my energy bill, I can pay a little more for organic. And the money I spend buying stuff used on Craigslist, I can spend a little more if I want to get good organic cotton T-shirts. But great resources now. You guys, I'm sure, all know about all these sort of Groupon sites. There's some really great sort of green Groupon deal of the day sites. My favorite one is purecitizen.com, where you get a daily deal of the day. Greenbabybargains.com, ecobabybuys.com. You can get amazing 50% off or more deals on everything from cloth diapers to sippy cups to clothing and stuff for moms. So those are great sites to subscribe to. If you see a site on some of your favorite brands, you can stock up.
Great, thanks, Paige. Those are some that I didn't know about, so that's great. We've got a and someone just typed in that you mentioned a whole bunch there, and we'll repeat those before we go, and then we'll also we will post them on our Kiwi blog, which you can get to from kiwimagonline.com. So Paige and I will get that all together, a list to look for that later on today or tomorrow. So we have a comment from someone who doesn't have a mic. So she says, this is back to dealing with family members who aren't green. So this would be nice to get another tip on that. She says what she does is this is from Jennifer Bear. So thanks, Jennifer. She says tries to convert them to green, not by preaching to them, but by green gifting. Giving them gifts like 7th generation baby products, cleaning products, organic foods, and snacks. And she says it's more effective than preaching to people about statistics and seeing as believing, and trying for yourself as believing. And so she gives these kind of gifts at baby showers, holidays, bridal showers, housewarming gifts, and blogs about it. And I think that's great. That's a really great way to just make it a part of your life, and you're just making it a part of other people's lives. And yeah, when they try it, they'll chances are they'll think the stuff is great too.
Absolutely. I always get a little nervous. I was invited to a baby shower recently, and this was someone who had come to my baby shower and bought me so many beautiful gifts off my registry, was really conscious of getting me exactly what I wanted. So, but when her shower came around, I really wanted to get her a basket of all these green baby items that were not on her registry. And our mutual friend told me I really shouldn't do that. It wasn't nice that I should get her something off her registry.
Wow,
so I blended it because I thought, well, it's more important for me to respect her wishes than to try to come off preachy. So it's hard. Now I'm invited to another baby shower, and this is someone who wasn't at mine. So I'm like, I can get her whatever I want. So I'm gonna, I'll get her, things that are useful and practical. I might not get her. I don't know how it will come off if I get her 7th generation diapers. It's rough, but you certainly can't argue with a great organic cotton onesie and some blankets and things like that. So, but I try to include a few. Maybe I'll throw in a few samples and say, here, try these.
Right. So you're still respecting what she thinks she wants.
Right.
What she does want, but maybe she hasn't tried these other things. So you're adding to that if you can. Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Where else are we going to go? Paige, could you actually tell us again some of those good coupon-type deal sites so people can be ready and maybe write them down. Again, folks, we'll post them later on the Kiwi log, which if you look, we sent you the link to that, and that'll be up later today. But Paige, if you wouldn't mind giving us a couple.
Sure. I just moved the slide over to my blog because I have links to all of those.
Great.
But yeah, so that way you guys can see it. But and also I put this information because please connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, email me anytime. I love getting questions and answering them on my blog. I love to be told about maybe a great new green deal site that I didn't know about, or some new study, or some awesome tip. And we can just help each other by sharing the information. So yeah, you guys, I think you guys will love all those sites and find some great deals. And I'm always looking for great green coupon sites and anything we can do to make it a little easier.
Great, thanks. Okay, so let's see, we're close to running out of time, but I'm going to ask you another question about milk. Someone who asked, prefers to buy organic milk, but but finds it can be more expensive than conventional. So, can you touch on? Can you explain why organic, or I mean, we can talk about this together. Why organic milk is a better choice than just looking for a hormone-free milk that might be conventional?
I actually didn't know that there was hormone-free milks that were conventional.
I think that there is. There's, it'll say RGBH free. That's a good question. I mean, I wonder if anyone else wants to weigh in and let us know if they see the different options that they see out there. But let's talk a little bit about why organic milk might be a good. Like the one listener who said that was, even though she's cutting corners in other ways, that was still the organic food for the kids. Was still
well, with the milk, there's the hormones, the antibiotics, and and the pesticides and things like that. So there's been some studies that have shown that the amount of hormones that are in milk might be leading to some early puberty issues and some endocrine disruptors and things like that, dealing with actually affecting the hormones in the children who are really susceptible. And, all these studies out there, they're sort of, I mean, they might be a little controversial, and I don't know what's been proven and what hasn't been proven, but I figure I certainly don't want to take any chances. I personally feel, and I think that the rates of things like ADHD and autism and cancer are up for, that I believe that they are tied into these environmental factors and these environmental toxins. So I want to avoid them the best I can. If you're concerned about the higher price of organic milk, coupon all the way. There are, if you go to like Stonyfield Farms website, and I just went through the Horizon Organic website, and you sign up, you can print manufacturer coupons off their site. Also, I think Whole Foods says there's 365 organic generic brand of a lot of things, I think including milk, and that's always pretty comparable to the price of conventional milk. So yeah, milk is one thing for sure where I don't like to mess around either. I think with milk and meat, it's really important, and there's definitely studies that have shown that the amount of hormones and antibiotics in the way that those things are raised, and not to mention the cruelty issues. I choose to eat meat and milk in my life, but I'm not happy with the way that modern factory farming is. It really upsets me, and it's not necessary. So I want to support the companies that are treating their animals humanely, and that's not just in the way that they're butchered, but also in the way that they're obtaining their milk. And I find that the organic companies tend to have better practices.
Yeah, and we're getting some comments from people that I want to share that when you are buying something that says it's organic and it's got the USDA organic seal, then you know that that's a label that's been regulated and that you can trust. So you know that it's there aren't pesticides involved. And actually the hormone-free claims, when it says RGBH-free, that's not a regulated term the same way that the organic is. So the companies might be bragging about it, and it may very well be true, but it doesn't have that same level of trust as the organic label. So, and also organic milk, this is another comment that one of our listeners, Jennifer, wanted to point out is that organic milk will be from cows who were fed organic foods rather than grains that are genetically modified, and that's another, that's another big issue, is that when it's not organic, they tend to be eating GMO corn,
Right.
whereas if it's not, often it'll also say that it's grass-fed, which again is not, that's not an official FDA term, grass-fed, but if it's organic and they're saying grass-fed, hopefully that's what you're getting. You're not getting any GMO.
Right, right. And of course, it's funny, I should be on Whole Foods' payroll for as much as I talk about them, because I have one around the corner. I practically live there. But I know that when I'm buying my meat and dairy there, I know that they have a very carefully vetted process, and they're very careful about the brands that they carry. And I know that things have been raised sustainably there, and yes, grass-fed, not force-fed, genetically modified corn. If you guys have seen movies like Food Inc. and all that stuff, it can be really eye-opening and upsetting, and you might not want to give up meat and milk as part of your diet. So for me, that's been at least some compromise.
Great. Yes, thank you. Okay. Well, we're just running out of time, and I really appreciate. I feel like we've just really gotten the conversation started here, so we're going to be able to continue it. If you look at the slide here with Paige's blog and Facebook, and of course, please, we can continue it on Kiwi's Facebook and blog pages too, and we'd love to hear. Paige and I will be responding to questions, and I'd like to just reiterate that we're all learning and we're all experts here. So I think everyone, all you moms out there, are helping each other is what's one of the most important things here. So so let's hear some more questions online and give each other answers, and we'll be doing our best to lower that feeling of guilt, because you are all doing such a great job for your family.
Right. Just by being on this call, you show that you are active, moms who care about the health of this planet, the health of your children, and the health of yourself. So you should all really applaud yourselves just for being here.
That's very true. Thanks, Paige.